Alright, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to be today, whatever time, whenever you see this, we're going to be talking about the Mandela Effect, false memories. Does it have something to do with the Hadron Collider? Do you remember Darth Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father"? Because they say that's not what he says now. In this reality, he allegedly says, "No, I am your father" to Luke. Do you remember Pac Lives wearing these awesome aviator sunglasses through all these years of live streams? Or is that also a false memory? That and more tonight. We'll be talking about that. Give me your comment. Let me know what you think. 10 more brain breaking examples of the Mandela Effect. When paranormal researcher Fiona Broom discovered that several people shared her false memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 80s, she came up with the term Mandela Effect for similar incidents. Some quantum theory enthusiasts have taken the Mandela Effect theory a whole lot further, stating that it's proof that the multiverse is a real thing and that parallel realities continuously clash with one another. Some even believe that the Mandela Effect came into play at the same time that the Large Hadron Collider was introduced. Alright, so we're going to look at two of them you may not know about tonight. And anyways, finishing that story, it goes on to say, however, thousands more think it's simply our minds playing tricks on us. What do you think? So we'll look at 10 of them and let me know what you think in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Number 10, did Tom Cruise wear shades or not in the dance scene in Risky Business? The old-time rock and roll scene in Risky Business features Tom Cruise become an instant classic after the movie was released. Tom Cruise's dance moves in the scene have been parodied countless times, including very memorably by snarky butler Niles in the American TV show The Nanny and the cast of Scrubs. Curiously, in the vast majority of these parodies, people wear shades when they strut along to the lyrics, Niles included. That is because most people around the world seem to remember Cruise wearing shades during the scene, and yet he doesn't. And there's the white versus pink shirt, but that's for another list. Alright, so how do you remember that, guys? I remember Tom Cruise doing his little dance, and then at a certain part, this is just, like nobody else seems to remember it this way. He had his glasses on his head, right? And at a certain part, it's like do 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 do. He turns to the camera and he's like, whoa, to look cool. He puts the glasses on. That's how I remember it. So, and I saw that when I was a little tiny little kid. Anyways, moving on. Number 9, the Ricky Ricardo's catchphrase. Did Lucy have some splaining to do? Ricky Ricardo's catchphrase, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Now Lucy's catchphrase? And so that's very confusing because I remember him saying that. My mom used to watch the show when I was a little kid. So very weird having these false memories. In the beloved 1950s TV sitcom I Love Lucy, Lucy did indeed have some splaining to do. But no matter how many people remember the quote, Lucy, you got some splaining to do, Ricky Ricardo never actually says those words in that order. He does, however, say things like splaining that you splain if you can, or Lucy splain, which I don't remember that at all. I remember somewhere I watched some show or some video or documentary where it said, like, what is it, 80-90% of people who can do really good impressions, like they can mimic others. I don't know what the stat was, but it was a lot high rate of those people turn out to be psychopaths, which is pretty. But so if you think about like Jim Carrey and all the greatest impressionists, they're probably psychopaths, in real life, sadly. So, anyways, the reason I tell you that is because ever since I was a little kid, I can always do a dead-on impression of Ricky Ricardo's catchphrase when he says, "Lucy, you got some splendid to do." I remember that, and I'll never forget that. So, and it scares me. It's like, what, am I a psychopath? Who knows? Hopefully not. But moving on. All right, let's finish that one out. Yet there are people who would die on the hill of, he did say that. Another very well-known line misquoted all the time is "Beam me up, Scotty." Star Trek's Captain Kirk never utters this line, but he does say, "Beam us up, Mr. Scott," during the Gamesters of Trickskillion episode. So I'm definitely not into Star Trek. Sorry, guys. You think I would be, huh? Number 8, did King Henry hold a turkey leg? The Mandela Effect happens just about anything, including TV, movies, book series. Broadway shows, and even paintings and portraits. One of the most famous paintings of King Henry VIII is of him sitting at a dinner table, just his upper torso visible, holding a turkey leg in his hand. At least that is how most people visualize it. Yeah, let me restart my instrumental, guys, before we move on. That way you got some music, the background music. Alrighty, sorry about that. Anyways, that's how most people visualize it. In reality, there is no painting of King Henry VIII holding a turkey leg. There is, however, a Renaissance painting of him holding a pair of leather gloves in one hand and a string of a scarab in the other. Expanding on this Mandela Effect example, some people took things even further by claiming that Henry VIII was the first English king to eat turkey and that he was a huge fan of the meat. There is also a host of examples in the media in which Henry VIII is depicted as holding or eating a turkey leg, as a direct result of the belief that the turkey leg painting exists. Yeah, so I'd take their word for it. I don't remember that. And then number 7, Abe Vigoda is really dead now, isn't he? And then it says, Abe Vigoda had a great role in The Godfather and a starring one in Barney Miller, but he will forever be remembered for being dead 30 years before he died. And that's kind of like the Mandela, effect. We'll go into that later. But Vigoda was first reported dead in '82 by People magazine, despite him still being alive and well for 5 years later. A local newspaper in New Jersey reported him dead again. Letterman pounced on the story, and it became a long-standing joke. And in turn, the joke fueled the fire of Vigoda's death myth. A running gag about Vigoda's purported death started up at a Friars Club during the roast hour. And Jeff Ross had a really fun time saying, quote, "My one regret is that Abe Vigoda isn't alive to see this," unquote. Vigoda would then jump up in mock anger from his seat in the audience and shake his fist at Ross. Abe Vigoda died for real in 2016. But when TMZ broke the news, reporters were hesitant to pick up the story because of the ongoing gags. That's kind of sad. Anyways, moving on, guys. Number 6 is Cinderella Castle, also the entrance to the Magic Kingdom. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we had a lady in here last night. Who was that? Oli, who was telling us that she went to Disneyland as a kid, and she remembers the entrance, the Magic Kingdom being by the entrance. So that's what this one is. People don't remember where it's at properly, I guess. I'd never been there, so. Anyway, Cinderella Castle at the Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World has been redecorated on several occasions to mark different celebrations over the years. One of these makeovers took place in '96 when it was transformed into an 18-story birthday cake for the 25th anniversary of the Orlando Resort. Currently, the castle sports a massive 50th crest, as well as blue jewels, pearls, and ribbons in celebration of Disney World's 50th anniversary. Quote, "The world's most magical celebration," unquote, will end on March 31st, 2023. But apparently the Cinderella Castle can also up and move locations when it feels like it. While most people know it to have always stood at the end of Main Street, several visitors and fans are adamant that the castle is actually the entrance to the theme park. Maybe the park is spookier than most would want to believe. Yeah, if you've been there, please let me know in the comments what you think, what you remember that. Alrighty, and then number 5, did a protester get run over by a tank in Tiananmen Square? And yeah, I have a memory of this one also, guys, and I remember seeing this clip, and the tank stops in front of the guy and it won't run him over, and then someone grabs the guy and drags him out of the way. That's just my memory. If you've seen that clip, let me know how you remember it. And now they're saying he was run over. In 1989, soldiers fired at peaceful protesters in Tiananmen Square, Beijing. The protests started on April 15th and were forcibly shut down on June 4th when martial law was declared. It is estimated that thousands were killed and thousands more were wounded, both inside and outside of Tiananmen Square. Yeah, let me see if my answer. Alright. Okay, let me start that up again. I apologize. What most people remember, however, is Tank Man, the protester who stood firmly and unwaveringly as 3 tanks approached him. Fortunately, he was pulled out of the way before he got hurt. but many people recall this incident differently. Some claim they watched it on TV and saw the tanks running over the man killing him. Others even stated that it was the first death they witnessed in real time. So that's pretty disturbing. Hopefully, you guys don't have that horrible memory. Gotta thank the Lord I got the good memory, I guess, Ooh, child, he got that good memory, Number 4, does Billy Joel sing a melody or a memory? Sing us a song, Mr. Piano Man. Sing us. Piano Man is one of the most instantly recognizable songs in the world and is immensely popular whenever karaoke contests are in full swing. The lyrics are also fantastic and truly blend with the music in a magical way. Well, thanks for telling me about music. I didn't know about it. But there's a Mandela effect at play here too. The second verse of the song starts out with the words, he says, son, can you play me a melody? Right? Question mark. Nope. Wrong. Even though this is what most people hear and believe the lyrics to be, the correct words are, hey, he says, son, can you play me a memory? The melody ironically contains the line, well, we're all in the mood for a melody. So if you're completely confused by that, you're not alone. What are you talking about, friend? Okay. Just say okay and keep going. Number 3, is he dancing or standing by the record machine? Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll. While we're on the topic of music, Joan Jett is responsible for one of the biggest earworms in the history of music. I Love Rock and Roll is the foot-tapping classic that starts with the line, I saw him standing there by the record machine. Or so thousands of people think. What Jett actually sings is, I saw him dancing there by the record machine. There are dozens more Mandela effects in music too. These include the line from the Bee Gees tune, how deep is your love? That is not, I really need to know, but I really mean to learn. And the Mamas and the Papas popular, California Dreamin', California Dream. That doesn't include the lyric, I began to pray, but instead I pretend to pray. Whoa, that's mind-blowing, guys. Larry Bird's mind-blowing. Okay, moving on. And this is which one is it? Number 4, number 2. Does the thinker hold his hand against his head or his chin? And I always thought it was his chin. I've seen with his hand. It's weird. The bronze sculpture, the thinker stands in the Musée Rodin in Paris. The sculpture depicts a nude male figure sitting on a rock and leaning over his right elbow on his left thigh. The weight of his chin rests on the back of his right hand. According to many tourists, and those people, I guess, saw it in real life, so that's kind of crazy that there's reporting that. Anyways, but several people who have visited the statue believe that the statue's right fist is pressed up against his forehead. The frontal view of the statue reveals that the knuckles on the right hand are actually pressed up against his mouth, and his hand is not a fist. Several books, both fiction and nonfiction, describe the statue as having his right fist to his forehead, though, confusing the issue even more. And the number 1 Mandela effect is not new, but you may not know about where it comes from. Number 1, did Nelson Mandela die in the 1980s? So if you're an old head from the 80s or 90s or something like that, let me know what you remember. But here is this little story. And it says, and we are here. And here we are, back at the beginning. The Mandela effect caused by an incorrect memory about Nelson Mandela himself. People worldwide have the persistent memory of Nelson Mandela not only dying in prison in the 80s, but also of clips of the funeral aired on TV and riots in several cities. Some even insisted that they learned of his death at school in the 90s and were flabbergasted when the news broke in 2013 that Mandela had died at age 95. This original Mandela effect gave rise to a slew of conspiracy theories, including one that said because he died in 1985 at the age of 67, South Africans today are encouraged to perform 67 minutes of charity. On the late statesman's birthday, it's even believed that an imposter was installed in Mandela's place and that it was the doing of the government at the time. The man named Gibson Makonda then became the first democratic president of South Africa. And somewhere in there, as is the case with all persistent conspiracies, the Illuminati also seems to have some hand in conjuring up the big lie. Well, don't they always, sir? Anyways, And this is an extra one. This makes it 10, so that's why the title's not a lie, guys. Okay, Hitler's brown eyes. And if you, like I said, if you might be like me, you remember him having brown eyes and black hair when you were little. Like a lot of people, I seem to remember Hitler having brown eyes, but it turns out they were blue. I'm willing to accept I'm mistaken. However, I was just listening to the Dollop podcast about his nephew, William Hitler, at around 52:15. There's a contemporary quote about William, which says he resembles his uncle in that he has the same mystic brown eyes. Just thought that was interesting, as it's a quote from someone who actually met his nephew, and he particularly noticed his eyes as being the same. Of course, it could be a person quoted was also wrong about Adolf's eye color. Alrighty, guys, so let's take a look at Adolf Hitler. This is a very rare. You can find this on Google. This is a real picture, a rare picture of Adolf Hitler's eye color, in color. They don't have too many of these. So as you can see right there, they are blue. Yeah, so I want to show you guys a video of a couple more Mandela effects, and you let me know in the comments. Sorry about the heater being on in the back. Hopefully you can hear me. Anyways, thank you to all the supporters. Thank you to Leah Murray, Nikki West, Tavia Medlin, Tracy Cordova, Sonia Mabea, Jordy's Graveyard, Lee, Save Soul, all the patrons, all the Cash Appers, the PayPalers. Check out my new album. I love you guys. Thank you.
Number 10. Ford's Curl. Ford is one of the most influential and well-known car companies on the planet. In fact, they've been making vehicles for over a century. And while you'd think that such a long-lasting brand's logo would be imprinted in everyone's memory, many motorheads have had to pump the brakes when they see it today. A lot of people are confused about the logo's curlicue on the end of the F.
You recognize this part of the Ford logo, and most people never noticed it. There's a weird little squiggle in the F.
Having been a part of the logo since 1911, it's certainly not a recent addition. The logo many remember, however, has no such curl, with the F in a straight line.
Jesus.
Why is that a squiggle? Why is it
I
squiggle?
never saw that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is a Ford tough one. Number 9. Jif or Jiffy. While this is more of a brand name Mandela effect, the logo may play a role in the confusion. Jif is the peanut butter of choice for many, including moms, as the ads used to say.
Why did you pick Jif?
Because it tastes the best. But there are those who remember the name of this particular brand of peanut butter as Jiffy, not Jif. The logo itself does suggest 3 letters to go with its 3 colored bars. It is possible that people are just conflating it with rival peanut butter brand Skippy, or it could be tied to Jiffy Lube, the car service chain. Maybe it's from Jiffy Pop, the popcorn brand? Whatever the case, this Mandela effect has made us hungry. Number 8. 7-Up's Hyphen. 7-Up is a fairly popular soft drink, with its distinctive green color scheme accented by a red dot. However, the location of this dot and its role has caused some serious debate.
7-Up cools your thirst. 7-Up, the difference is clear.
Its position has changed depending on the marketing of the time. Currently, it acts as a pseudo-hyphen between the number 7 and the word up, which is strange to some because 7-Up no longer has a hyphen in the name. Outside of America, it's all just one word, 7-Up. But in the United States, many recall a hyphen being a permanent fixture of the brand's name and logo. Maybe Cool Spot knows something. Number 7. Target's ring count. Target has a very distinct brand for being an all-in-one store. Their logo is fairly memorable too, with their red and white color scheme featuring prominently in advertising campaigns. Still, as famous as its logo is, it misses the mark for some people. Target has a red dot with a single red ring around it. However, some people remember the logo having multiple rings.
So many rings!
And while the logo did have multiple rings in the 1960s, folks recall the logo being different much more recently. Which begs the question, is this a false memory or a bullseye recollection?
Nice. Bullseye.
Number 6. Tony the Tiger's Nose. Frosted Flakes have been a staple of the grocery store cereal aisle forever. Front and center on every box is the brand's mascot, Tony the Tiger.
It's grape soda. Tony the Tiger.
While the big guy has gone through several redesigns, his current appearance is his most iconic. Large body, red bandana, and a blue nose. However, that last feature is something some people take issue with.
You may be Mr. Breakfast to the rest of the world, but you know what you are to me.
Your widow Tony?
I'm so proud of him.
There are those who remember Tony the Tiger having a black nose, and he used to in the early days.
Breakfast for everyone. It's the year of the tiger.
But he eventually adopted a colorful snout. Is this a case of people confusing Tony with another cartoon tiger? If someone can get to the bottom of this, that would be great! Number 5. The Quaker Oats Man's Hat and Age. Quaker Oats has been around for almost 150 years. Known for their breakfast cereals, both hot and cold, Quaker Oats has featured a consistent mascot.
I think he looks like the Quaker Oats guy.
Based on William Penn, a real-life Quaker from the 17th century, some have begun to question this mascot's appearance. Many breakfast enthusiasts remember the Quaker Oats man being significantly older and sporting a triangular hat.
Instant Quaker oatmeal. It's the right thing to do.
This, of course, is in contrast with the middle-aged man with a rounder hat seen today, and always. It's possible the man's white hair or wig led people to assume he must be older than he is. Triangular hats were also associated with the time period and the culture of Quakers. You know what? Let's discuss this over a bowl of cereal.
No, I'm not some point maker, shot taker, making girls hot like oats but Quaker.
Number 4. The Laughing Cow's Rings. A French cheese brand, the Laughing Cow, features a mascot that is, surprise surprise, a laughing bovine. The logo features the crimson cow with a jovial expression on every product. But there's some disagreement when it comes to this farm animal's accessories. Many cheese lovers swear that the happy mascot used to have gold rings, either in her ears or through her nose, or both.
Who is the loveliest then?
A rather special cow whose creamy smooth cheese also comes in cheese dippers.
The Laughing Cow does indeed have earrings, but her ear tags are instead shaped like the packages a lot of the cheese comes in. This cheesy mystery is no laughing matter.
Laughing cow! That's gotta be a happy farm, right?
Number 3. The Monopoly Man's Monocle. The beloved mascot of the board game Monopoly is named Rich Uncle Pennybags, but you may refer to him as Mr. Monopoly or simply the Monopoly Man.
Oh, there's a winner right now! And another one!
His look embodies that of a filthy rich tycoon. Top hat, mustache, monocle. Wait, that last one may be a false memory. Mr. Monopoly has apparently never had a monocle.
Who is this ghastly man? Ace Ventura, pet detective. And you must be the Monopoly guy.
Plenty of people and TV shows have referenced this detail in their parodies, but when it comes to official merchandise, that monocle is about as real as Monopoly money. Could people be confusing him with Mr. Peanut, or has someone sent part of our collective reality directly to jail?
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Number 2, the Starbucks star. Starbucks is arguably the biggest name in coffee. Yeah, there's Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons out there, but Starbucks is the global brand that everyone knows.
Hey, Seattle. Space Needle. Starbucks.
Or so you would think. Despite the millions of cups likely sold since the start of this video, some Starbucks patrons are surprised about something on its famous logo, the star above the mythological siren's head. Many customers remember the logo having only a crown with no star above it. Well, the siren did indeed lack a star at one point, but that was before its iconic green look. If anyone does decide to devote themselves to this potential mystery, they'll definitely need a lot of caffeine. We're just saying.
Hey, Lois, I didn't flush. I want you to come see it. Looks like the Starbucks mermaid.
Number 1. Fruit of the Loom's Cornucopia. This well-known Mandela Effect concerns the logo of popular clothing brand Fruit of the Loom. The company has been around for almost 175 years.
Good days start with Fruit of the Loom.
And while its logo, featuring assorted fruits, has definitely gone through some changes over the years, there's one thing it has never had, a cornucopia. Yeah, this one is especially bizarre, as dozens of other sources, including movies, TV shows, and even album covers, reference Fruit of the Loom's logo with a cornucopia present. Much like the fruit spilling out of a horn of plenty, we too are overflowing with questions.